imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And now, welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's your host from federaljack.com. It's Popeye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition. It is Tuesday, March 18th, 2014. Tonight's live edition, joining me for the next 2 hours to go over all of the craziness in the news, my good friend, brother from another mother, and fellow radio show host, Mr. Joe Joseph. What's up?
Anyhow.
Yes, I made Joe come on tonight. He took off tonight to do some investigative research behind the scenes, and
yes, we're working on quite an investigation right now.
You could say that, but we'll get into that when we have a little bit more work to do. So we really can't break that one yet. But I promise you, interesting to say the least, right, Joe?
Yes, absolutely. No doubt about it. But there's a lot to talk about, though.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't mean there's not a lot to talk about.
No shortage.
I have a question first, right off the bat, because
certainly
you're a radio guy. I know that you know radio communications, stuff like that. So we want to pick your brain about this Flight 370 fiasco. There's a ton of other stuff I want to talk about, but obviously the news media would rather focus on this because it's a great distraction. But it is kind of weird that this plane's been missing for 10 days now and nobody can find it.
How does something like that go missing?
It's kind of a rather large object to go missing. I mean, I know the planet is huge, Joe, but
yeah, and I mean you can drop below radar. There's no doubt about that too. But I don't buy the story at all. There's too many variables to go wrong. This is a precision operation if that plane was taken the way it was, the way they say it was. I mean, it has to be executed with absolute precision. And that's not something that amateurs do, So whatever did happen, I think, has conspiracy written all over it.
Well, I would definitely say that two or more people conspired to do something with the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that there's definitely a conspiracy going on. You know these arcs that they have, that they're search arcs, these new arcs that they're looking, I guess, along these arcs.
Yeah.
And Lord knows what kind of grid pattern they're building off of each arc. But those arc patterns, I was telling you off air, they were able to, these engineers, and I don't remember exactly who it was, I think it was American engineers, somehow used, what's it called, the MRSAT communications?
International Maritime Satellite, right.
Yeah.
That's actually what it stands for. The company's called MRSAT, but that technology's been around for a long time. Now, of course,
Those are locator beacons, right? Is that what that is?
No. Like Inmarsat would be, the onboard cell phones on an airplane.
Right.
The ones on the seat.
Mm-hmm.
That would be transmitted via Inmarsat.
Oh, okay.
It's not a the service that you get on an airplane is not a cellular service. It's a satellite service. So they would probably go through Inmarsat to make those calls via like I don't know how big the data pipe would be, but it would have to be like at least 128K, I would think. So it'd be a 128K aggregate data stream that gets, and that audio is piped via voice over IP. And that's how that works.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was exactly.
But
they turned off most of the communication system, but somehow this thing was pinging that.
Well, because much like a cell phone, much like people's cell phones were still active for days afterwards or whatever, Inmarsat acts kind of like a cell phone where it has to send out a signal every so often and ping the satellite to make sure it still has.
That's what they said it was doing. It was like it was basically searching for the network.
Yeah, and because of that, and because it probably gets a GPS feed, that it's probably pinging basic location data to the satellite, and that's probably how they got that idea or the vicinity of where that plane might be. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but and I would never have thought that it had Inmarsat on it to begin with. I mean, that's kind of satellite telephones they've been around a long time, very long time. As a matter of fact, when I was in the Navy, the way that we got internet connectivity to begin with was through Inmarsat. Only then it was a 64K pipe data stream. You can imagine how slow that is. 64K. That's kind of like my internet speed right now.
Even 128K is pretty slow. But I mean, I guess it's not. I mean, it's really not doing much more right at that present moment in time than just trying to communicate.
Right. No, I mean, it's not like you need it. And even like, I forget what Skype's minimum for voice is, but I know it's not much. I think
Skype's 48K.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could get away with having
64. No, it's either 64 or 48.
But yeah, you could get away with having 3 or 4 phone calls going on at the same time, with that. I can't imagine people making many phone calls because of how much they charge. I mean, even when we were on the ship, if you wanted to make a phone call via Inmarsat, it cost like $5 a minute.
Yeah, it's absurdly ridiculous. It really is.
It's expensive, but I mean, I could totally understand how they could derive some data from that. The only problem is is it reliable? Are they telling the truth? Me, I don't totally buy the whole I lost the plane thing. And for these pilots to execute such a maneuver like they did, so they say, to get below radar, again, that requires a lot of precision flying. And it also requires, precision timing, everything. This thing would have had to been played out or practiced somehow, some way, in order to execute the stealing of an airplane. At least to me, I just can't see.
Well, supposedly, according to the investigators, the pilot, there was 2 pilots. The younger one is the co-pilot. The older one was the pilot.
Right.
And apparently the older one, the pilot, had a simulator in his house, a 777 simulator in his house.
Well, I mean, okay.
Now, they first reported it as he enjoyed flying so much that he had a simulator at home. Now, you could look at it 2 ways. Okay, the guy really does like flying, but like you could get are they talking aircraft simulator as in like what
like
was
Microsoft Flight Simulator?
Yeah, exactly. Flight Simulator version, whatever the freight number
I
it
think they
is.
had a picture of it, though. I mean, it was a pretty...
No, if it's a full-on simulator, that's a little shady.
It wasn't your typical standard...
Let me this way. I don't want to say shady, but if I put my investigator hat back on, like when I was a PI years ago. If I was,
Does it look like Sherlock Holmes hat?
Yes, and with my pipe. And if I was
Do you blow bubbles
investigating
out of it,
this,
or are you actually smoking something out of it?
I'll refrain from commenting.
I blow bubbles out of mine.
You pull up, you roll up to a crime scene, blowing little bubbles out. Oh God!
I'm not wacko for tobacco.
Yeah, wacky tobacco. Anyway, if I was going to put my investigator hat on here,
yeah,
and look at this whole situation for a minute, and I saw that, like you said, well, the guy would have to have practice. And then the guy has a simulator at his house. Like, I haven't seen the simulator, so I can't judge if it's
kind of helpful, though.
You know what I mean? Like, if it's Microsoft, like I said, if it's Microsoft, program on a computer, okay, come on. Microsoft Flight Simulator, okay, that's stretching it. But if this dude really had, like, a simulator with hydraulics and stuff in it at his house?
Kind of interesting. No, I don't think it was like that. I think it was sitting at his desk.
Okay, well, that's Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Maybe but it's not flying. It was different, though. I'm trying to find it now.
It could be. Hey, it could be rigged up. Who knows? I mean, the guy could be involved. Something's obviously going on. I just wanted to. Reason I brought it up to you is two reasons. One, I wanted to ask your opinion about the signal, and the other thing I wanted to bring up to you is, as well as I do, there's got to be like 2,000 satellites at least floating around out in space, if not more.
Oh,
and
dude, people thousands upon thousands of satellites. I mean,
people only think there's like 15 or 20 satellites floating around. No, I don't remember what the map is called, but I think if you look up satellites in orbit or like real-time real-time image of satellites in orbit or something like that, it should bring it up, and you can see just the satellites floating around. Then you should add all of the space junk that's floating around out there. Anyway, all the satellites, Joe. And they can't find this thing. I mean, I understand.
No, well, that's a fact, right?
Come on, I understand there's blind spots, but really, like the NSA can read the tag on my underwear from outer space, but we can't find a 777. Well, if it went in the ocean, Popeye, it could be sunk. Okay, genius. How about the satellites that are constantly imaging the Earth? Maybe, I don't know, find a couple of the satellites that were above the area where the plane might have been and maybe zoom in? You guys don't keep archives? Really?
All right, I just sent you a CBS News piece, and if you go to like 35 seconds, you'll see his flight simulator.
Let me see.
And again, it's not your average flight simulator. It's not like Microsoft Office Simulator, but it's not. It has 3 screens, and it's got a like instrument cluster, and it's got the that stick, and it's an elaborate home setup. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm fighting the Flash player settings. I refuse to allow it to put anything on my computer. So I keep hitting deny, and it
paranoid.
Yeah, well, yeah, paranoid. I refuse to allow anything that I do not know on my. CBS News wants to store information on your computer.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, that's great. They're reputable.
Right. CBS News equals the CIA. Did you notice they were doing a piece? This is back in October. This is making the rounds again. I'm watching it slowly. Where's about 1:30 in, you said?
No, 35 seconds.
Okay, hold on. So 20 seconds. I'll tell you in a second what I was about to tell you. Hold on. Let's see. 24, 25, 26. I want to see the simulator. Even if it's something in between, oh, that's the guy's simulator? That's kind of shady.
That's kind of shady.
That's kind of shady, Joe. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got like 5 or 6 monitors with all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's pretty elaborate home setup there.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's a little odd.
Yeah.
If I put my investigator hat back on again for a second,
and start blowing bubbles.
Yeah, I'd say that's odd.
Mm-hmm.
That is. Look, who knows? We could speculate till the cows come home. By the way, mainstream media is loving this.
Oh yeah,
because they're ignoring everything else that's going on for this. I mean,
it's total drama too. I mean, it's like reality TV at its finest.
And last week, the first day or two, if you rewind and go back to the first day or two of coverage, the conspiracy theorists, 6 days later, they're like, do you think it's like it was in the show Lost, where maybe the plane is on some deserted island and we just can't see it? Really? In 6 days, we've gone from calling people conspiracy theorists to engaging in the very conspiracy theories that you were bashing 6 days before. Can you say ratings? Because everybody and their mother is tuning into the CNN for the first time in, I don't know, probably 6 months. Think about it. Dude,
absolutely right.
Their highest rated show is on the weekends. It's Anthony Bourdain's cooking show where he's traveling and eating foods and stuff. That's CNN's highest rated show is on the weekends. It's not even a news broadcast. You don't think they're eating this up right now to try to get their ratings up? Yeah, they are.
Of course they are.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, of course they are. Because that resonates a lot more. Ooh, missing airplane. Ooh, than Crimea. Yeah.
What I gotta say is they can record every phone call you can make and know everything you can do, but can't find a 777.
Popeye, I have nothing to hide. It's okay. Yeah, okay, so we don't get pissed off about that. But boy, we're really plugged into a missing airplane.
Well, I just want to know how they can't find the plane.
Me too.
Really? Really? You're bugging everybody's phones.
Exactly.
You know what everybody's doing. Come on, really.
You have metadata.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have the plane's metadata? Maybe that would be helpful, guys.
Oh, I'm sure they do, dude. If it communicates, they've got it.
Personally, I guess you could say, as far as the plane goes, because I know I want to move on to a bunch of other stuff, but as far as the plane goes, we could speculate till the cows come home. If you wanted my personal opinion, every day it could be, the possibilities do get broader and broader, but I would say, if anything, if I put my conspiracy theorist hat on, but I'm using my logic while doing so, I would say that it was probably accidentally shot down during a military exercise, and they just don't want to talk about it for whatever reason. That's one possibility. The other possibility is it got off track. Maybe these guys hijacked it, and then for whatever reason they crashed it. I just find it odd that they can't find it or any trace of it. That's what I find odd.
That's what makes it super shady.
There's no trace.
Right. Even if it was an accident, what was it, TWA 800?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even if it was like that, there was debris.
Even if it broke up in midair, there would be debris on the surface of the ocean, and a lot of people
somewhere, right? At least, or even an oil slick. It doesn't take much.
People think, well, it would sink. You wouldn't see it. That's not true. You'd see something.
Yeah.
And besides,
at least the oil slick.
A lot of the parts don't always sink. They just go a couple feet, maybe 10, 15 feet at the most below the surface. And then you send divers down or whatever else. That's why you'll see the Coast Guard out there with buoy tenders pulling them out of the water and putting all the parts on the deck of the ship. The plane parts, yes, some of it does sink, but I just find it hard to believe that an entire 777 would disappear with no trace. They have 25 countries looking for it. Nobody can find it. With all the satellite technology we have, we swear they have weapons of mass destruction. Look at my neat satellite photos, but we can't find a 777.
Yeah, it's interesting how technology always fails at the most convenient times. We thwarted this terrorist attack today, and thank you, NSA, and da-da-da. But when it comes to trying to find a 777, it's totally and completely worthless. Does that make any sense to you? You would think, big airplane, hard to find, hard to hide. Okay. You would think that it would be easier for them to find a Boeing 777 than it would be to, I don't know, find that needle in a haystack domestic terrorist.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Why is it that the pilot can still turn off communications on the plane? I'm not saying that pilots shouldn't be able to control their own aircraft, but if we're so quote unquote worried about terrorism and safety from terrorism, and we spend all this money on the war on terror, why didn't some genius figure out that, hey, why don't we just make it so that you can't turn off the communication equipment from anywhere inside the plane? It's locked up. You'd have to be a maintenance guy, like unbolting stuff to get to those switches. Like, obviously, there shouldn't be any reason that you'd want the plane to be able to turn off its communication equipment.
Well, yes and no. I mean, because you're the captain, right? Let's just say the radio develops a short in it, and that short ends up trying to short out other electronic systems on the plane. Well, then you'd want a way to shut it down. You'd have to have a way to shut it down. So what I would do, if that were the case, is it should always have some sort of beacon that's pinging somewhere, that's just sending location.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why can't you have like a backup system that has its own?
Yeah, almost like like something that authenticates its position.
Yeah, and like do it every 15 minutes. Like,
let me give you an example of that.
Every hour.
Let me give you an example of that. Seriously, because they do this now. You know how one of the things that truckers used to do is run multiple books on the road to get more time on the road, because you get your.
I know nothing of what you speak of.
You get your log inspected, and next thing you know,
I know. Yeah. As a former truck driver, I know nothing of what you speak.
Right. So here they get now. Penske Corporation was one of the first companies to unveil a system that automatically logged the driver's mileage and everything in this one convenient little box. And if you had this, then when DOT inspected you, you didn't go through half of the rigmarole that you would if you had books, because you had this convenient little box that was tied to GPS, and the driver couldn't screw with it. So all they had to do was pull up a code. They had a code. They punch it in. It gives them their data, and you're done. And it always knew, and their dispatchers always knew at any given time where that truck was at any moment. And the driver can't shut it off. And all it is a GPS beacon, basically.
It's the same way. It's been like that for a while. And it's the same way it is right now with pretty much every truck on the road now. It is rigged up like that. I remember back in the day, they used to have them with the chalk discs. And when the truck was moving, it would write on the day. Like it could tell, it would write one way when the truck was moving, because the truck would be vibrating and stuff. And then when it wasn't moving, it wouldn't vibrate as much. And then so it wouldn't write as much on the chalk disc. And then they could tell, as the disc turned, when you started moving again. I mean, this is old school tech that they used to put in trucks with, again, a chalk disc.
Yeah.
So why have we, okay, if we were really terrified by 9/11, right, like we're supposed to be, like, let's put aside the whole, conspiracy aspect of it. Let's say we buy the official version for 5 seconds. Oh my God, terrorism. Why would we not want to, have some sort of fail-safe system where, you would be able to not have to worry about that. 13 years, we're going on 12 and a half, 13 years later, and we still haven't figured out some sort of fail-safe system. I mean, I have a cell phone that I can watch movies on right now, by muting. I could mute myself and watch movies during the breaks or while you're talking and download it in like a second and a half. But, that we have that level of technology jump, but we don't ponder anything else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't know. I'm just, we need to ask these questions. It frustrates me when I look at this stuff and I see that there's no one asking intelligent questions about anything. A lot of people are just getting lost in the fact that it's, oh my God, a missing plane. Oh my God, could the terrorist have taken it? Could it be
the terrorist? Yes, some government entity took it. There's no doubt about it. To me, there isn't. I mean, I don't think it crashed personally. You think
it was a government, or do you think it? All right. If we say it was a human entity that took the plane, do you think it was a terrorist organization, or do you think it was a sovereign nation that took it?
I think it was a sovereign nation that took it. It's just too it's too precise. You know what I mean? This isn't a bunch of freaking
ragtag guys.
Ragtag bunch of terrorists with box cutters,
That's what I'm saying.
Because that's totally freaking believable, right? I mean, it wasn't highly trained terrorists with box cutters. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. To me, it's too far-fetched to be a couple of amateurs or somebody with a quasi-elaborate flight simulator in his living room.
Well, again, you have cell phones that can make pancakes now, but we still haven't figured out how to make a beacon, like in the back of the plane somewhere, away from
Dude,
everything.
they have a ring, some sort of ringer app now, where your phone will secrete the smell of bacon. Really? Bacon?
Exactly. So your cell phone,
bacon, but you can't find a plane?
that's what I'm saying. Like you can make your cell phone do all this weird stuff. Literally now smell like bacon. Yet we didn't bother to say, hey, maybe we should take like this beacon, right, and put it like an emergency locator beacon, but maybe more powerful, like because the beacon really doesn't transmit a lot of data. Like, how about GPS coordinates, what's going on with the engines, everything else, and have it be it could be plugged in maybe via like a data cable, but nothing that could cause a short. So that way there's no power going to it.
Yeah, you just make it an independent system.
Exactly. It's an autonomous, like independent
isolated
system. That's the word. An isolated system, kind of like your cooling system on a car is how it's completely isolated,
Yeah, it's a closed loop.
Exactly.
Right.
Same thing. Okay. Do that, put it in a little box somewhere and cover it in 3 pounds of freaking steel if you have to. It doesn't, in bolts and
You don't even need to do that. I mean, dude, you're right. You're right on track, because a GPS beacon or something like it doesn't take a lot of juice. Doesn't take a lot of juice to operate. So, I mean, look at you. You run it off a DC, 12 volts DC in your car. For anybody that's got a Garmin or a TomTom or whatever.
Well, there you go. Hey,
same difference. Those things ping satellites.
I could take my Garmin friggin' GPS and find my way all over the country with the satellites, but we can't find a 777. I find it a little odd. We're going to break, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. More when we get back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. So Joe and I are going to move on to a few other things, but we'll finish up with the missing plane here. Again, Joe, I didn't see that simulator that you showed me a few minutes ago. So I'll tell you right now, shady to the nth degree. Okay,
totally.
Staring at that, I took a still shot of it. It's like, and I've been looking at it during the break, and something's going on. Obviously, the pilots were involved because they turned off the communications gear. My question again is this, and we should ponder with all the money that we've supposedly spent on keeping us safe from terrorism. How could something like this happen? I just don't if they were really concerned and scared about some supposed threat to airline security that is out there, some boogeyman that's going to come get us, which there is always that possibility, no matter how slight it may be. Then why didn't they why wouldn't they come up? It baffles me when you realize that the information that these planes send to these outer beacon markers and stuff, it's the same information that they were sending 20, 30 years ago. Like, they haven't stepped it up, Joe. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it makes no sense at all. It makes absolutely no sense at all. That's why this is so perplexing. But at the same time, I have to say it's I'm bewildered. Really, I am that they can't find a stinking airplane. It's really an unbelievable occurrence. Almost akin to the Bermuda Triangle, maybe they'll come up with that next. That'll be next. Why, it's the Bermuda Triangle has moved, you see.
Oh, and I'm glad you brought that up because
oh no,
you made a good point during the break. You were referencing what I said about how within 6 days they went from making fun of conspiracy theorists to spewing conspiracy theories. Well, Joe made a good point during the break, ladies and gentlemen, that in like a week or two, when we go back to whatever else they're going to report on, and somebody says, "Oh, the government's doing this," and they go, "Oh, those crazy conspiracy theorists." Hold on a minute. I remember a week's worth of broadcasts where you guys were debating if aliens ate the plane, if it was sucked into an island like in the TV show Lost, if it got sucked into a black hole, if they hijacked it and went, to some secret base somewhere. I mean, they've literally been diving into in-depth, well, as in-depth as the mainstream media really gets. They're just doing it, obviously, to sell ad space, okay? They're doing it to sell, they fill up airtime, right? They get people to view, and then they can sell those ratings to sponsors. Okay, so it's all about making money, ladies and gentlemen, with these scumbags. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, ABC.
Sure.
They're all turds. Okay, that's what this is about. That's why they're focusing on that. And yes, a lot of it also serves as a distraction, but it's also about making them money. Remember, they never serve. They don't never do one thing just for one purpose. It always, serves them in multiple ways. But it's a distraction. It makes them a ton of money. Okay, everybody's tuning in right now. I guarantee you, they've probably had the most viewers in 6 months to CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC.
No, that's pretty much right. That's spot on. About that. Highest ratings in 6 months.
Yeah, and that's why they're gonna cover every angle of it that they can and run this thing out until they can't push it anymore, and they're forced to report on other things. That's their goal. I mean, they want to make money, and they want to, it's easy. It's something. It's not frivolous, but it's something that is attention getting, and it's easy for them to not report on other stories when every show that they have on their network is reporting on this. Again, this also comes from a network, CNN, whose highest rated show is on the weekends, and it's not even a news show. It's a show about a chef traveling around to different places in the world eating different types of food. What does that tell you about their network? Well done, CNN. And I think it's disgusting that what they're doing. It to a certain extent, I get covering it, but the way they're doing it, and just they're making money off of a tragedy, basically, where there are really real people sitting somewhere in this planet right now crying because their loved one has been missing for 10 days. They don't even have the opportunity to go mourn. I mean, that sucks even worse than having someone die. Because if they're dead, at least you go, okay.
You have closure.
They're dead. I love them. It sucks. It's terrible. I'll never see this person physically again. But I know that they're gone, and any pain and suffering that they may be in is over, and there's no chance I will ever see them again. I can now move on with the grieving process, no matter how hard that's going to be.
Correct.
When someone's missing, dude, you can't even do that. You're just stuck in limbo.
That's it. You're stuck in limbo.
So, I mean, my heart really does go out to the families, and that's why, I haven't sensationalized it. I've only really covered it twice, second time being with you. And the reason I wanted to cover it with you is because you know radio, Joe. So I wanted to really ask your question. I mean, your opinion on other things matters too, but the question about the radio arcs and stuff, I wanted to know. And I figured, if I had asked you off air about it, and I said, we should talk about this on air a little bit because, it's interesting to say the least, some of the things that we brought up. But sensationalizing it the way the mainstream media has is pretty sick. And I really, at the end of the day, I really do feel bad for the families. And that's why I bring them up, because I don't want people to forget that there are really real individuals out there that right now are missing someone they love. And
we're all human, dude. That's the big thing, is we lose track of our humanity so quickly when it comes to these situations. Even in terms of just, I was believe it or not, we were in some training the other day, and they were going over counterintelligence and some of the things that are associated with counterintelligence and espionage, and went over some prominent insiders like Robert Hansen and what was another one? There was a couple of ones that China had sent them to go to college here and then infiltrate. And they stole secrets and sold them to the FBI, who posed as government agents of another country, and da 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 da. And I mean, it's really ridiculously minor, the amount of insiders that are there, but I think you just brought up that report about the Pentagon insiders and how they're, we have to really take a look at what's going on here,
Oh, that would be your buddy Chuck Hagel.
Ugh. I mean, it takes it to the next level. Really, he does.
I wonder what he means by insiders, Joe.
Pentagon must focus on insider threat.
What do you think he means by insider?
Oh, well.
I don't think he's referring just to homegrown terrorism. I think he's referring to insider as in perhaps somebody that maybe works for the DOD.
That could very well be.
Joe, are you being targeted by Chuck Hagel?
Well, it could be. Could be. Here's the interesting thing, though, and you'll hear this in this snippet, that they're saying that they have to do this to protect the institution. The problem is is they're doing anything but protecting the institution. They're destroying the institution.
Dude, F the institution. It's been corrupted and it's
Exactly.
cancerous. It's filled with
it is.
cancer. We need to like picture the institution.
Hit the reset button.
Yeah, it's not. Well, the institution isn't the whole body. You see, they've got you convinced of that. No, the institution's only an appendage. We can amputate and put on a beautiful prosthetic that you'll actually probably have a much more fulfilling life with, and everything will be much better. Let's just amputate that cancerous, tumor-filled leg. Let's cut that thing off. Because that's what that is. That's their institution. You're going to hurt the institution, Joe. You're going to hurt the... Blah. Blah. What institution?
Yeah. Exactly?
Your military-industrial complex institution? That institution? Who gives a crap if that's hurt? You're going to hurt national security. Show me, realistically, I want you to give me one example of how any information, knowing anything that we know, is hurting our national security, other than the BS line of national security. I want you to actually give me some real information, and I don't mean some intel crap that some analyst over at Langley typed up. No. Hardcore, I want humans to come in, people to come in. I want to actually interview them, depose them myself. Ask them questions. You can't do that, then I won't believe you. National security. Let's hear it. Want to hear what Chucky Hagel has to say, Joe?
Yes.
Hey, let's listen to what the Secretary of Offense has to say, shall we?
Sure.
The reviews identified troubling gaps in
or not.
And of course, it freezes on me. Just love when it does that. Hold on.
Reviews identified troubling gaps in DoD's ability to detect, prevent, and respond to instances where someone working for us, a government employee, member of our military, or a contractor, decides to inflict harm on this institution and its people. I am directing the department to establish automated reviews of cleared personnel that will continuously pull information from law enforcement and other relevant databases.
I'm going to pause it there for a second. Law enforcement and other relevant databases.
Yeah, what could those be? Other relevant databases. That's like everything.
Exactly.
I mean, what the hell is that, dude?
Everything is a database nowadays.
Yeah, believe me. The government loves databases. They love databases. If they have a way to create a new one, they're doing it. They love it. They absolutely love it.
Relevant databases. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever else.
NSA.
Yeah, and Dan. Oh, well, that's a given.
The motherlode of all databases.
Just a given. they don't even need to troll your Facebook account. They just go over to the NSA.
Yeah, just go see what the hell everybody's doing.
I want to see what Bob Smith over in Accounts Receivable is doing. Bing! Let's finish this clip up.
Increasingly, threats, cyber, kinetic, all threats, they're inside the perimeter. What the Department of Defense should do is build security from within.
Oh, they have insider threats, Joe.
I mean, this is sounding more and more like the Politburo as time goes on. And, what happens when empires die is paranoia sets in. It absolutely sets in.
Look, they're not paranoid. Oh, my God, what was that?
No, but they do this to make the general public, the sheeple, paranoid. That there's actually this threat when there really isn't. The fact is they're the threat, and there are good people that are trying to save the situation and kind of fix it, but instead they're viewed as a threat. Of course they're viewed as a threat. You know why? Because there are certain people in there and people of honor that are trying to expose the fact that there is no outside threat, that the threat actually comes from within. That the reason why we have a police state is because of DOD's 1033 program. Okay, we can't have active duty in the streets. No problem. We'll just give the police free military gear. We'll just bypass that altogether. We'll just arm them instead. Yeah.
Yeah, make them paranoid and then give them heavily armored vehicles with capabilities of putting fully automatic weapons on them. That's real smart.
Exactly. And then, oh, by the way, let's dehumanize them too so that they don't hesitate when they have to pull the trigger on a child or a woman or a grandma. I mean, look at what these cops do today. Look at how many people are innocently killed as a result of police violence. And I don't care what you say about, well, they're just doing your job, and what would you do? Not that.
I'd be a real cop. And
yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't be a pussy who walks around operating on fear 24/7. And I'm not making. Exactly. I have friends that are cops, so I'm not bashing cops when I say that. But these cops are walking around constantly in fear. You breathe in the wrong direction, and they shoot somebody friggin' dead. And for what?
And they view you as the enemy.
And then they never get in trouble.
Like you're the enemy. When really they should be saying, "Yes, master. You got it, master. That's right, master. Whatever you say, boss." That's what they should be saying. But no, what they do is they treat you like you're the freaking enemy, and we're not the enemy. And the only way that that's going to stop, is if we don't stand for it. That's it. They can say that anybody's an insider threat. You can make the case for anybody because that's how it starts. You start with the people that are openly vocal about policies and procedures and everything like that. Okay, you weed them out, but then who's next? You see, because that's when all the and people start spreading things back and forth, and then you have yourself a good old-fashioned McCarthyistic witch hunt. And that's what happens. It just cascades. So this is all BS. It's all complete and total BS.
Well, it's not like it's not like this has ever happened in history before. Oh, wait a minute.
Well, it has, yes.
Of course, that was complete sarcasm. I'm sure someone's going to be like, Popeye, what do you mean it hasn't happened in the past?
They have to get rid of the people that are exposing the ruse for what it is. And that's that there is no external threat to this country outside of the terrorists in Washington, D.C. that are making the threats, if you will. They're manufacturing this crap.
Let me put it this way. Okay. The cops need to stop acting like a bunch of thugs.
Yeah.
And the general public needs to not allow itself to be manipulated into constantly hating on the cops. Like, as much as I point out police brutality, I always make it a point.
They're human beings, dude. We have to teach them.
They're being manipulated. Right. And they're being manipulated. And one of the ways they're manipulated is when they make a mistake or whatever, they'll say, well, we're only human. We made a mistake. But you see this vitriolic anger that people have towards the police nowadays, and they see the comments, they should do this, they should do that, whatever. Well, those examples are then looked at by the police, and they say that backs up whatever crap propaganda that they're pushed into their brains. Oh my God, the citizenry hates you. We're at a war with scum. Well, when they see people making these comments, the cops, remember, they hire people nowadays that have an IQ of topping off at 100. That's the cap. You know what I mean? That's not even like...
They need good drones. They need good drones.
Right. Well, that's the cap, is like, an IQ of 100. So they need people that aren't going to have the capability of common sense or thinking for themselves on that deep of a level. They just want a flesh and bone automaton. That's what they want. Remember, they asked that one police chief, why did you lower the IQ standards? And he said, well, we had a high turnover rate. When we had the IQ standards were like 125. Well, that meant that people with like 120 or 125 IQ or even like 115 IQ were smart enough to realize that what they were doing was wrong, and they quit doing the job. And the chief said, well, it's because the job is repetitious and it can get boring, so that's why they left. Really? You don't think it has anything to do with them maybe not agreeing with the policies that you wanted them to enforce at all? That's never taken into account at all, ever, as a possibility in the slightest.
No, those details don't make a difference.
No. I mean, people, this is real. There's been class action lawsuits where people have sued police departments across this country, in a class action lawsuit itself, because they couldn't get hired. And the Supreme Court said, well, in one case, the court said, I think it went away to the Supreme Court in one of the instances, at least. I know one of the instances the court ruled that the guy wasn't being discriminated against personally, because it wasn't just him; it was everybody that had an IQ of 100 or above. So the court ruled that the policy was okay, and I guess that was it for the lawsuit. But this is why you have people that are easily manipulated. Don't get me wrong; I'm not making excuses for their behavior. Everybody has personal responsibility, and they need to take responsibility for it. The other problem you have is police unions that don't do anything. Or police departments that back their officers. I don't mean if the cop did something, like if it was a situation where where it's kind of a gray area and you need to look at it and really investigate, because it wasn't just some innocent person walking down the street that they shot. If it was, maybe the guy was a bad guy and it was a really bad situation and the person was in a bad part of the city or something. In that situation, I can understand, you have to look at everything. But I'm talking about the situations where they shoot somebody. The guy, this airman, it was a simple car accident. This kid gets out and he's got his hands up, and he was taught to always comply with the law. So he was taught that if you ever have to deal with the cops, you always walk backwards and put your hands up in the air with your wallet so they can see that you don't have anything on you or whatever. And the kid said he put his arms up and said, "I'm an airman," and they shot him. He didn't even, it's not like he had a gun on him. It's not like there was a robbery nearby. There was a car accident, and he got out of the car. And when the cops showed up, he got out of the car, and they immediately opened fire on the kid. I mean, his whole career in the Air Force is now ruined. He was going to be career Air Force. It's now ruined. And his father, they interviewed him, and the father's like, "Well, we're a law enforcement family, so we didn't even think he needed to have an attorney until, while his son's in the hospital, they hear that the police are trying to find some reason to charge him. Because, of course they are, because they shot him. So now they have to find a reason to, quote unquote, make him be a criminal. So they can say to the TV newspapers, well, this guy was doing something, so we had to charge him, and that's why he was arrested and apprehended by the police officer." How come they can go back in time and make up their own reasons for doing stuff? How come they can go back in time and, they can shoot somebody, and 3 or 4 days later they can go back and give you a reason for why they did it? Oh, well, we're going to charge him with this now. So he's a criminal. So yeah, the shooting was justified. How is that okay? If I did that, or Joe did that, or anybody else did that, we'd be thrown in jail. So why are they not held to the same standard? Oh, because they're peace officers, Popeye. They're police. Yeah. No, they should be held to a higher standard.
There should be nobody above the law.
Exactly. But if you're in that position of where you're, quote unquote, enforcing the law, technically you should be held to a higher standard. And this isn't me talking out my ass. I'm repeating to you what I was instructed my first day in boot camp by my drill instructor. Okay? He was a combat hardened Marine. And he told us he didn't take any crap from any of us. Okay, this guy had, he was like, he wasn't some tough guy being a drill instructor that had never seen anything. This guy had already seen combat. And then later on, after he got out of the Marines, he joined the Coast Guard, and that's when he became a coastie, and he became a drill instructor. And this guy was just as hardcore. Okay, and you know what the first thing he told us? One of the first things he stressed, besides posse comitatus, he told us we're not the friggin' police, don't get involved in civilian matters. Bet you they don't teach that in boot camp anymore. But what's posse comitatus?
Yeah, right.
What's posse comitatus, Joe?
You used to not be able to go to the store in your uniform.
Well, that
if you wore your working uniform, you couldn't go. You could
leave the base.
You could leave the base, but you couldn't get out of your car. Because even filling up your gas tank violated posse comitatus by wearing your uniform.
Dude,
you'd have to go in your dress uniform.
I watched people get written up for going off base in a working uniform, and literally I watched people get written up and reprimanded for that. And yet get a negative page 7, and the coasties out there would know what I'm talking about, or I'm sure they have 15 other names for it all across every other branch, but you know what I'm talking about. Non-judicial punishments, even below that. But I would see guys get written up for that. I would see people get even in worse trouble for things like that. You'd have somebody spying on them. I saw so-and-so in their uniform, and they were at the gas station. Oh, my God. And that was drilled into us. Now they're like, oh, put your uniform on and go to the gas station. Tote your M16 while you're there. Bring your law rocket system with you while you're on your way to the 7-Eleven. I mean, they're normalizing stuff that when I was in and when you were in, it was completely different. But one of the first things they taught us in boot camp, this hardcore drill instructor, was that we are supposed to hold ourselves to a higher standard. He said, you represent that uniform. It does not matter if you don't think you do. That was another reason why we weren't allowed to have any uniform items on, in civilian attire. Because if you did, if you had a shirt that said if you had a T-shirt that said U.S. Navy, you had to behave yourself because you were representing the Navy. And
that's right.
You made them look bad. And, I know people are going to say, well, that was brainwashing. That's not the point. The general idea behind what he was saying is correct. He was teaching us that because we were a bunch of rowdy civilians, and he was teaching us right off the bat that we needed to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We needed to hold ourselves. Not only did we have to adhere to the same laws, UCMJ and civilian laws, but he expected us, because we were his recruits, he was training us, he expected that when we graduated, we would hold ourselves to these higher standards as guardsmen. That was what we were supposed to do. I mean, you were supposed to be better than the, quote unquote bad guys, right? You're not supposed to lower yourself to the same levels that the quote unquote bad guys do. But now it's completely reversed. I mean, and I watched it change gears while, I was in. I watched it go from this old school thing to what it is now. I mean, now it's like, hey, put your uniform on, drive out to the 7-Eleven. Who cares? Bring a rocket launcher with you, Joe. Woohoo!
Oh, no. I mean, it's totally relaxed, especially since the Navy went to these blue BDUs. Let me tell you something, man. The first thing is, at what point in time does somebody not speak out and say, hey, we're sailors and, we float, our ship floats on the water, and in the event that I may fall overboard or whatever happens and I'm in the water, why are you camouflaging me with the water so no one can see me?
Oh, you like that? The Navy camo is like blue camouflage?
Yeah.
I love that.
On a gray ship, you stick out like a sore thumb because you're blue on gray, and then you're camouflaged with the water.
If you fall into the dark water, you're effed. Your shipmates will never find you, and you're probably
never find you.
Honestly, they should just make him Hunter Orange.
Yeah, like International Orange, absolutely.
There's other countries that do it. Well, that's crazy. There's no camo. Hey, you know what? I don't want camo at sea. Just so we're clear, if I fall overboard, I want everyone to see me. Okay,
yeah,
just so we're clear on that little fact. We're going to break, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on the other side. Don't go anywhere. 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Popeye, from federaljack.com. It's March 18th, 2014, hanging out with my good friend, Joe Joseph. Joe, give yourself a shameless plug for your radio show, just in case.
Just in case nobody knows that I come on right before you every night. No problem. Monday to Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, 5 to 7 Pacific. Right here on truthfrequencyradio.com. Me and Johnny King. That's right. Can't forget my good buddy. Going to regale you with 2 hours of some of the latest news and information, along with an occasional guest or two. So,
and John's cooking with the king.
Yes. Can't forget he fricasseed Puxatawny Phil the other night.
I'll tell you what, John taught me a lot about canning and stuff. So he actually knows his stuff.
He wanted to fricassee him because of the early spring that we've been experiencing. I say in quotations.
Little pissed about that early spring.
Yeah, he could say he's a little bit sore
with all that extra snow that spring apparently brings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that's why I live below the frost line. Literally.
Yeah, if you get frost down there, you're in big trouble.
When we have cold snaps down here, we're like, woo, chilly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like, ooh, I have a goosebump. Ooh. Yeah, I know.
All I got to say is, yes, it gets hot down here in good old
Is
South
it like
Florida.
the desert?
No. It's not
It's
dry.
not like the desert where it gets like 30 degrees and it's 100 during the day.
No, it's not. But it's not that dry heat either. And by the way, I don't want to hear. I love when people say, "Oh, move to Arizona. It's a dry heat."
It's a dry heat, really.
It's still 100 degrees. Okay, dry heat
100
or
degrees,
humidity,
100
it's still 100 degrees.
Absolutely.
Just so we're clear, 100 degrees sucks whether it's humid or not. Humidity makes it worse. Like down here, it's the humidity that makes it bad.
I will never forget the day that we pulled into Aqaba, Jordan, and it was like 128 degrees.
Ugh.
And I'll tell you what, man, it was a dry heat. And 128 degrees is hot. And what was worse is when you went and you just tried to walk and you're breathing, it's like, okay, I could put my mouth over the output of a hair dryer and it would be the exact same feeling right now. I mean, it's just, you have no energy. You're like, ugh, the whole time because it's, this hot air. It makes you feel so good. It's unbelievable. I don't know.
Yeah, the humidity is a bit different. It's like walking through pea soup. You need a chainsaw. It's so thick.
Yeah, but I mean, even out there, though, hot is hot. Just like you say, it doesn't matter if it's humid or not. Humidity makes the air feel heavier. You're wet and sticky. I mean, but it's still hot.
No, hot is hot, dude. It doesn't matter. Humidity just makes it worse because you're sweating like a pig, and all the water is just running off of you.
Yeah, so he was really pissed off that Puxatawny Phil lied to him, so he decided it's just better to can him. So he did. It's one of those things.
Johnny.
And then gave out the recipe. But now he feels better. Do you feel better?
Yeah, I feel better. Actually, I just got word we're going to be joined by two people that want to come on and chat with us.
Oh, very good. You don't say.
So let me just bring these two surprise guests on.
Two surprise guests, will you?
Live.
What was that old TV show? Like, was it Name That? The one with the mystery guest. They had to guess who it was.
Where they had them behind the.
Behind the. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't. I honestly don't remember. Dude, my brain is so shot from. There's so many game shows from the 70s and the 80s.
I know, it's all a blur.
What was the one with the pyramid? And
What happened to game shows?
What? The attention span went away. That's what happened.
Dude.
I mean, I know TV.
And you're talking about the $100,000 pyramid.
Ah, that's the one.
Yes.
I like the one where they used to beat the little red thingamabobbers. What did he used to say? No whammy. No whammy. That's it. That's the one.
That's
See,
right.
You could tell we're 70s.
Press Your Luck. It was called Press Your Luck.
Ah, that's it.
But that was not as good as what was the not the Gong Show, but what was the other one with Gene Rayburn was the host of it. Doggone it! It was on TV for years. Oh well, I'll figure it out. Richard Dawson was always a guest on there. Richard
Dawson rocks. He's the only guy. He's the only guy I know that could tongue kiss everybody else's wife right in front of them, and they didn't.
I know. I was like,
TV.
Oh, and that's your daughter. Yeah, she's 8. And it was all right.
Richard Dawson, like if you want, he's the Mac Daddy. Like seriously, if you want to look at a pimp, that guy. That guy's a gangster. It's for real. While I'm trying to bring up our two guests, obviously Skype is such a pain in the rear end. So
yes,
I'm fighting with Skype here in the back end. I want to ask you about Crimea really quick.
Crimea River.
I knew you were going to say that. I saw you titled one of your shows that the other day. Crimea River. Oh, God, it kills me. Yeah, it absolutely kills me. Hold on. As I'm asking you about Crimea.
As I'm asking you about Crimea.
Let me hold on. Let me add our mystery.
Well, while you're talking about Crimea, right? So Ron Paul, he came out in of course in defense of what our foreign policy should be, which he said Crimea secede. So what? Exactly. So what? Why is it our business, okay, to get involved? Well, number one, it's never black and white. That's the problem, first of all, with public perception of this. We understand what our posture should be. It could be black and white if we stuck to what the founding fathers said, which is ally with none, trade with many. But instead, we have to stick our nose in everybody else's business because it's a game of brinkmanship. It's a game of, oh, well, Russia's amassing people at their border and whatever. Okay, well, we're going to go to the Ukraine. Well, they're going to put missiles in Cuba. Well, we're going to put missiles in Turkey. It's always like that. It's always been like that.
It's just, dude, this is the dumbest thing ever right now. We're really not a good idea what our idiots in Washington are doing. This, like, does this not tell you though that we have psychos in power?
We totally have.
McCain's like, we need to bring the military over to Ukraine. Shut up! Somebody retire him.
But let me say this, because again, here's historical precedent talking. This situation is eerily similar to the situation prior to the start of World War I. And if you go back and you take a look at what caused World War I, you will find a lot of parallels between what happened there and what's happening today. And the issue that I have with the parallels is the simple fact that our weaponry now is much more advanced than it was in 1914. So it's a pretty interesting situation. But if you anybody get a chance, start looking into how World War I came about the alliances that were forged, about the imperialism that was going on.
Go read
about
Albert
the nationalism.
Pike. Go read Albert Pike and his 3 World Wars.
Oh yeah.
Just go read that. I find it very ironic how it says that World War III is going to have the Jews versus the Arabs and have them wipe each other out. Wow. Who do we see fighting today? Muslims and Jews. I wonder if 2 groups of individuals could be manipulated by people behind the scenes through propaganda to kill each other. That's never happened in history, though, before.
No, never once.
No. Just making a point. Just making a point. Anyway, I think this whole thing with, first of all, we don't really have a leg to stand on. I mean, John Kerry telling people, it's so 19th century to be invading someone's country under false pretexts. Really? Iraq? I'm sorry, I had Afghanistan stuck in my throat.
Oh, by the way, Gene Rayburn, The Match Game. Gotcha.
Oh, there you go. The Match Game.
Thank you, Dr. Pujo.
Anyway, let's see. I'm going to try to bring our guests on again, our surprise guests. If I can add them again, that would be great. For whatever reason, Skype decides I told you a couple months back, remember I wrote that article about when Skype started?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, by the way, they removed all the older versions from their website, so now you have to go hunt them down on websites where people archive them and stuff. So, whatever. All right, well, for whatever reason, Skype is still giving me a problem. So I'll keep trying to add them. I'll let you know when I get them added. But the whole Crimea thing.
Total and complete.
It's none of our business. It's none of our business. And you know what? I don't care. The only reason why, one of the only reasons why they're upset is because their natural gas, they want to be able to, Europe wants to be independent of Russia. So it doesn't have to, get its gas from them. And they, if the Ukraine joins the EU, that's a reality that could happen. And, within, I don't know how many years, it would be more of a reality and they'd be able to bypass Russia eventually. Whereas, they need Crimea in the Ukraine. They need the only reason they want that is either A, strategic, which obviously it is, B, because there's got to be some sort of fossil fuel. I hate that term. I shouldn't even use it. Some sort of
abiotic fuel.
Abiotic fuel or mineral or natural gas, whatever, in there that they want. There's no reason that we should be getting involved in their backyard. None. There isn't. I mean, it's almost like they're trying to bring back the Cold War because they have nothing else to resurrect. So, hey, let's bring back the scary demon of the Soviet Union. Woo!
Yeah, give the mystery guests another try, they said.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Soviet boy.
Yes.
Comrade.
Hiding under your desks from a blast, like that's going to do anything.
Duck and cover.
Right.
Duck and cover.
Duck and cover doesn't work.
Why not?
A shockwave comes in. I don't think your school desk is going to protect you from it.
How about duct tape?
Well, that's 100-mile-an-hour tape. That's different.
Duct tape fixes everything.
You got that right. Did when I was in the Guard and I was an engineer. You'd be surprised how many things get fixed with duct tape.
Yeah,
you were in the Navy. I ain't got to explain to you.
Yes, we used that and a substance called monkey shit. That was just the absolute most awesome stuff in the whole world. Yes. Very interesting.
I know. I can't stand Skype. I hate when I'm trying to add somebody and it keeps for some reason. It's since this new update. Remember I said a couple months ago, this is what I was talking about. They turned it into like this glorified phone app. And every time they do, even though they said, oh no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna reverse course a bit. Every update they come out with causes more and more problems for radio show hosts. Have no idea why. Do not get it. It just does not make sense. Let me try one more time here. There you go. Let's see. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Ah, there you are.
Yay!
We're having technical difficulties. Our board got fried a couple weeks ago, so we just got a new one, and we're just trying to get it to work.
Wow, I didn't know your board got fried too.
Fresh out of the box.
We're having such a great month. Let me tell you.
Well, that just adds and compounds to it. Okay, so because Joe and I were discussing like politics and everything else. So let me switch gears for the listener and then I'll
totally switch gears.
Kind of let them know what's going on here. So, okay, behind the scenes, really quick, behind the scenes, poor Aaron and Melissa. You guys know that Aaron Dykes and Melissa Melton, good friends of mine, good friends of Joe's, good friends of the network, radio show hosts, awesome investigators, just awesome people. They've had a lot of weird kind of things going on the past like week or so to them. They've had some issues or whatnot, just some weirdness going on to them. That they wanted to kind of get on the record. And I wasn't sure if we were going to have time to get into it tonight or not. So I didn't want to, give it any promotion if we weren't going to, throw it out there tonight. But they've set aside a few minutes here. So I'm going to give you guys pretty much as much time as you need to cover this stuff. But let's just hop right into it because it is important. So you brought up your board was fried, and I said, wow, that's odd, compiling with all the other stuff you've been through. You guys, for the past couple of weeks, have been getting, I guess, harassed, you could say, to a certain level or whatever you want to call it. There's been a lot of weirdness happening to you personally, not like to a blog or to a video you put up, but literally to you both as individuals. So I'm going to give you the floor, and you start off wherever you want, and just tell the listeners about whatever, wherever you want to start. Tell them about all the weird things that's been going on.
Well, as people who are friends with us on Facebook have probably seen, starting last week, we started posting a lot of information about what happens when somebody spikes your drink. Because last weekend, the weekend before last weekend, we went out with some people some of these people anyway, we considered to be friends. And I don't think naming names is really all that important, but there were people that were prominent activists, people that were connected to our past job, and even a movie star son was there. So a lot of people were there. And essentially our drinks were spiked. And I am not accusing anyone at that table. We're not accusing anyone specifically, but our drinks were spiked. And you just know, okay, I'm a decent sized girl, and I had 2 drinks, and they were these frozen margaritas. They were the little regular size ones, and on the third drink that came, because we were going to have a couple, and then we were going to call it a night. On the third drink that came out, I switched my drink with Aaron, and I don't remember exactly why. I was goofing around, and I just switched it. It's like I think his had more in it, and I was just making a joke, and I don't even know. It's not even important. What's important is I switched the drink with him, and then I took 2 sips of it, and it wasn't that many minutes later that my body went numb, literally numb. I could not feel my body. I was seeing flashes in my vision. My vision was all distorted and messed up. I couldn't talk. I couldn't talk right at all. And I ended up basically stumbling my way into the bathroom where I blacked out after that for over an hour. I was in there. And when I came to, I was violently sick. Violently sick. So we're talking 2 drinks, maybe a couple drinks, like a couple sips of another drink. So 2.
But definitely not known for being a cheap date.
I mean, here's the thing, okay? Everybody has had those wonderful college days, and I used to be a much bigger girl than I am now, but I come from a family of Irish, German, Cherokee Indian people, okay? We
Good
can
grief.
all drink, okay? We can all drink, and we can all drink quite a bit. So 2.5 frozen little drinks in the little cups too, because this was one of those swanky upscale places that gives you the small
So you're
drink.
talking
It's not like
whiskey glasses, yeah.
I'm not talking about the goblets that you can get at cool Mexican restaurants where they bring out the fishbowl. I'm talking about a small drink. I'm talking about a small trendy club drink where they charge you too much. And no, the drinks were not just extra strong. No, I just hadn't not eaten for 24 hours.
Well, I'll even cut
it was
right there. I'll even cut you off right there, Melissa, and say that there's actually even more proof that I know of, because you don't have to even justify and say, no, the drinks were small, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. You did exactly what you should have done, and you went back to the place. You spoke to the managers.
Well, this is yes. See,
and they
this is what
reviewed the
happened.
video footage. So this accusation of your... I just don't want the listeners thinking that you're making up. The accusation of you saying that your drinks were spiked was confirmed by professionals. Yes.
Exactly. So. I was getting to that. Well, that's what happened. So we didn't... I mean, we had a horrible night. Aaron had a horrible reaction as well. And we were both very sick. And even... I ended up walking home.
And I've had nights where I've drinking too much. Yeah, I've been at college parties and stuff like that. It's not like I'm proud of it, but I've ended up having, being sick and having too much.
Drank too much.
This felt totally different. Nothing I've ever felt like. This was not a night of where I had too much to drink, because if it was, it would have went away by the next morning.
Right.
Maybe a bad hangover. This hangover,
3-4 days,
or whatever you want to call it, lasted 3 days or so.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. So we ended up walking home, like all through town, all messed up. I mean, it was like I would black out for a block, and then I would come to and realize I had walked more. I don't know how I guess that speaks volumes for the police state of Austin, because I made it home and I didn't get raped or killed or hit by a bus. So that's, yay. But but I got home and I finally got to sleep. And when I woke up, I was again violently ill. And when I say violently ill, I mean the most ill I've been in my adult life. And I've had the flu. I mean, I've been sick before. I've had food poisoning. This was violently ill. I think I literally pulled something in my stomach area from being sick. That's how hard I was throwing up the next day. Now, studies have shown that alcohol, when you consume it and you exercise, you're actually burning up. Your body's metabolizing the alcohol. So if I was able to be sick already several times in the restaurant bathroom, or then walk home 7.5 miles, sleep for 6 hours, and then still be violently ill, that's not 2 glasses of alcohol. I don't care if it was 100% grain alcohol. That's not going to do that to a person as a grown adult that can, and I had eaten food that day. It wasn't like whatever. The point is, I was really, really, really sick. He was really, really sick. And for the whole rest of that day, we started to piece together like, okay, this isn't right. We only had like 3 drinks. It's not right.
I had 3, but still.
I mean...
Yeah, but they were like, dude, they were whiskey glasses.
I mean, they were small. They were small. And we started calling people that were there. And we started getting really weird responses from some of these people. And so we decided, okay, fine, we're going to take drug tests and we're going to go back to this restaurant. We took drug tests. And of course, there's so many things they can put in your drink that can cause that reaction that are metabolized within 12 hours. I mean, the drug test came back clean for all the regular stuff. But unless you know exactly what you're looking for, or if it's a designer mix or whatever, you're not going to find it. Okay. And so We did send off samples, though, to try and get them tested in another independent lab. So we're going to see what comes back on that. We're still waiting for that in the mail. But I'm not hopeful because I'm thinking you can mix different things and it's the way it is. And anyway, after all of that happened, we started piecing it together. We decided to go back to this restaurant because they have cameras there. We knew they must. It was one of those upscale places. So we're like, well, maybe this will finally work out into our advantage. And 2 managers, we were there for an hour and a half, reviewed all of this footage. And you can tell after 2 drinks, we can't hold our heads up. I can't walk down the hall. I'm trying to steady myself on the walls. 2 managers, and we interviewed our waiter, all said we looked like we were drugged. There are also several people at the table that we didn't sit right by that were down the table that we've spoken to since then who are very concerned. And one person who said, I thought there was something strange about the fact that you only had 2 drinks and you were both acting that way. Okay. So that happened and we were drugged and it's like some people are like, oh, Occam's razor. It's you just don't want to admit you drank too much. Okay. If that's all it was, I would be embarrassed, but I wouldn't go and make a huge big deal and have my urine I mean, why would I do all of that to draw more attention to something that was already horribly upsetting to begin with? I mean, that's silly and makes no sense. What makes sense to me, is that somebody did this. Now, I don't know why anybody would. We're not over here reporting on Obama's real birth certificate. So to me, this felt personal. I will say that.
Yeah.
It does not feel like this is some weird government thing. I mean, or whatever. It's not like we talk about food. We criticize a lot of the food. We criticize the government heavily. We're constantly reporting on stuff, but we don't have any secret information or whatever. If we ever came across secret information that we were going to report on, we would just put that out there. It would just be out there.
It wouldn't get Breitbarted.
It wouldn't be like tomorrow we're releasing, oh my God, it's going to be a great report. No, if I had something like that I thought was worth my life,
this is amateur hour compared to that kind of stuff.
Well, it totally is. And what's proof of that is that then now somebody has tried to also break into our home. So whatever these people want to do, they're messing with us is what it is.
Yeah.
And I've seen the evidence.
Yeah.
I've seen photographic evidence of the break-in, so it's not just Melissa or Aaron. I've seen the evidence. Unless Aaron stood outside the door, and
I doubt he tried to jimmy
the door himself.
Yeah,
somebody tried breaking into that door, and you guys have the right to be genuinely freaked out right now. I mean, by the weird stuff that was happening to you the past couple of weeks. That's crazy stuff.
And I'm really freaked out. I am actually. I'm angry too.
And you filed a police report, right?
Yes, and they came and took pictures of my door, and then we told them the whole story, and the guy thought we were like talking about some television show he watches.
He said it sounded like a television
because
show.
It's so crazy, and it is really crazy.
It is. It's crazy
because this is the thing. Okay, this is not the first time weird stuff has happened since we've lived here. We've had a lot of other strange things happen. This is just the most personal it's ever gotten, I think. And maybe I'm just speaking, but this is how it feels to me. I don't know about what you think, Aaron, but I feel like this is very, very personal. And I feel like another thing that was really strange is that there were certain people that we did talk to that were there afterwards, and we tried to talk about this, and they got very, very defensive. And their responses were not natural. Because if someone comes to me and says, I think I've been drugged, I'd be like, whoa, what happened to you? I wouldn't be like,
exactly.
How many drinks did you have? Do you have a receipt? Can you prove it? Were you locked inside the bathroom stall? How do you know? And by the way, they reviewed the footage. I was in the bathroom for over an hour. And there were people that said they came and checked on me, but those people weren't on the tape checking on me. So maybe they checked on me at another bathroom some other place because they never went to the one that I was in.
Maybe they imagined it.
Well,
we were told several stories that were not supported by the security footage at this point.
As I always tell you, Melissa, let's go to the videotape. I'm going to cut us off because the break is sneaking up on us. When we get back, we're going to elaborate more on this. Stay tuned. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. So, I want everybody to understand something before I let Melissa and Aaron get back into it. One, she's not attacking anybody in particular. Like, this isn't like an attack fest on anybody. Okay, these two have been going through some interesting things, to say the least. Interesting is a neat way to put it, I guess, a clean way to put it. They've been under a lot of stress. I've talked to them off air the past couple of weeks about this in particular. and they are very genuinely stressed out. Now, a lot of people might not want to, broach this subject. I know you guys were even hesitant to talk about it on air because you weren't trying to stir the pot or anything. But I said to you, as well as Joe and other people, that it is good to at least get this on the record and let people know what's going on. Because, messing with you maybe like on your videos or comments or emails or something, or starting rumors is one thing, but spiking your drinks and breaking into your house is another level.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. We were so sick and so messed up after we left there that, we could have wandered into traffic. Somebody could have kidnapped, bad things could have happened. Somebody could have died. Plus when you put these things in people's drink, you don't know what their allergies are, what they can tolerate, whether or not they're going to have a bad reaction. And I've never been so sick and messed up. It's like I wasn't in my body. It was like I wasn't in my body.
You blacked out. I blacked out for probably about an hour. I don't know what happened during that time. We got separated. I found myself walking home through a city that I know, but it's very different to find yourself suddenly in it in the middle of the night, vectoring towards home from miles and miles away. We walked over 6 or 7 miles apiece that night, both on different routes.
At one point while that was going on, I had the distinct impression that I was being followed. And because there was a car, and it was going really slow. It was back there, and I knew, I just had this feeling I was being followed, and I ended up climbing up an embankment, like a very steep one, into a neighborhood. And guy got off the main road that I was on, which I knew would have taken me to my home, because I felt strongly that was going on. I have to say, I feel like I'm a pretty good researcher, and I feel like I'm a pretty smart person, but I don't understand why anybody would want to do this to us, because, we're just trying to do our own, we've just been trying to do our website. We've been just trying to do what we do. This is who we are as people. Just because we worked at InfoWars, it's not like you leave and then you're like, I'm going to go be a gardener now. It's just, we're truth seekers. We're researchers. This is what we do.
But do you think that this is connected to that at all, or do you think there's something else? I already know the answer to it, but do you think? Obviously, you don't. I should say.
I don't know even what to believe anymore about. I've heard so many crazy things in the last couple of weeks alone. Things I can't talk about or say. Yes, we signed non-disclosure agreements at that place. Everyone knows this. Everyone has to sign one. Well, most people have to sign one. And yes, since we left, we've been not so subtly reminded multiple times that we signed that and that we better shut our freaking mouths. And
you guys have been good. You guys haven't been running around causing any trouble or anything. So.
And that's the thing. It's like, we don't have any interest in doing that, though. It's just like, why? There's already so much division in the world. There's already so much division, even within this move, whatever you want to call it.
Do you think that could be the goal of this, is to create more division in this movement? Maybe one particular individual or two individuals or a few in the right places, causing problems here and there, and maybe trying to connect other well-named individuals as well. That way it creates division. Do you think what's going on here?
I absolutely think that, and I even have some evidence to support that, but I'm still not going to go off. I think that almost that's what these people want. So that's why I'm not going to do it. I refuse to do it. And I will just say this. Now, currently today, the newest thing to happen today is we're currently being accused of secretly feeding recordings of Anthony Gucciardi to some other radio host guy that we never made. So now we're being accused of recording people and giving it to other people. That's the newest thing that's happened today, which is something that we would never do because we have no interest in that at all. That doesn't do anything. Why would we do that? That wouldn't help us at all. And the thing is that we did go at Anthony's request. Actually, well, he asked to meet with us, and then we didn't even want to meet with him. But then other people intervened and said you should meet with him, so we did, and we talked to the guy, and yeah, he had a lot of the same sentiments in that recording, which we've just recently been apprised of. I don't think it was the same things, but it was pretty similar. I mean, it was very similar stuff he was talking about. But we just don't record people, and we don't. And this is the thing. That meeting happened in August or something. If we really had any interest in recording secret people and then releasing the information, like if we had any interest in doing that, why wouldn't we have done it back when we talked to him in August?
It's a bit late. You guys.
Why would we suddenly be like, you know what? A good time for that would be right after.
You guys are running about 7 months behind, so you know.
I know. I think a good time for that's after I get drugged and my house is broken into, and then I'm like, haha, remember that time? Like, no. I'm sorry. I got
here's the weird
much
thing.
to do.
Here's the weird thing. I'm not really familiar with the young lad Gucciardi. I've never met him, never talked to him. I've seen a video of him here and there, but I'm not really familiar with his work. Anyway, I mean, I know who he is, but I'm just not, Anyway, from what I do understand about him, he was drugged himself, or there are claims that
there are rumors
that he maybe had the same thing happen to him.
That's right.
That you guys did, and
that's the rumor. That's the rumor that's going around that when he was in Dallas for the JFK thing, that he was also drugged, and there's some crazy thing about how he had some glasses of wine and was screaming weird stuff in the street, and doing all kinds of inappropriate things.
If that means that he was drugged too, and you guys were drugged. Is this a pattern? Is there a pattern emerging that maybe
this is what I'm saying.
Something is being done to tear something apart, and maybe I don't know. To me, the drama that's being, like, from an outsider, the drama that I see this creating, which is one of the things that they hope, that takes everybody off track of what they're focusing on. It does, because
we're trying to get our movie going, and we've already started filming on it, and we're getting ready to do a Kickstarter for it, and that's what we want to focus on. Here's the thing. If I wanted to be at InfoWars, I would be at InfoWars. I would still be there. Aaron would still be there. We quit, okay? And everyone thinks that we quit so we could be together because there was some policy about that. Yes, there are policies about that. But it's also true that we were basically together the whole freaking time we worked there, okay? So that's not why we left, okay? But we did choose to leave, and we quit, and we left, and now we're doing what we're doing now. If we wanted to still be embroiled in the drama or dealing with the BS or doing it, we would not have quit, right? We would have still be there. We don't want to be there. There's a reason we're not there. That's why. And I hate it because I have people that I care about, people on Facebook that I'm friends with, and they keep asking me to say a bunch of stuff, and it's like, okay, I have children. It's not, I guess if we get sued and screamed at or what, I mean, they could take my nothing that I don't have, but I mean, it's kind of like, I just want to focus on the work I'm trying to do. I don't want to get mired in all of this infighting and blacklisting and the BS, because it just goes on, and it's pointless in the end of the day, because we're all trying to supposedly do the same thing here. But now I feel like someone has drugged me. I don't know what happened to Aaron while I was in the bathroom for ever and a half. I guess I could have aspirated and died. I could have wandered out into traffic and died. He could have died. Someone could have been arrested. Who knows what could have happened?
By the way, if someone was going to, obviously the person was targeting Aaron, not you.
I switched drinks with him.
You were an unknown variable. They just didn't account for you grabbing his drink.
I would say if there's these recordings and these stories coming out about Anthony's Dallas thing, I would say the only reason so far no weird, crazy recordings have come out of Aaron or I in this situation from Saturday is because, if you just have one person take a couple drinks and act all crazy, right, then you can explain that as, well, that guy just can't hold his alcohol and he's just a crazy person that does crazy things. But, when two people have that same thing and they've got video footage and witnesses who worked it. The one guy was a manager, said he's been in the food service industry and he's been working as a bartender and he's been manager for 20 years. And he said, this does not look like an intoxicated person. This looks like a drugged person. There is a difference. And so I've got witnesses.
That was a question in the chat room, and I already know the answer to it, but I'll let you answer it. They said, did did the managers that watched it say that they saw anything on the video?
Well, that's the thing is the video where the camera was. We were sitting at the end of a long table. It was a long rectangular table, and we were at the end. The camera was up above our head, facing outward, and so it only shows like part of the end of the table. Like our drinks were right at the end of the table, and it doesn't show where the drinks were. So you can't actually see anyone put anything in it or whatever. But it could have been done before they even brought it to the table. I mean, I know it sucks because it's what happens when this happens to you is you don't, it's like you remember right up until a point, and then it's like you don't remember anything. And as much as you try, it's kind of like a weird nightmare that you get flashes of things, you know. I just know that I've been with Aaron now for almost 2 years, and I've lived with him for quite some time. And I mean, we've been to a wedding with an open bar, okay? Had more than, I will say that night we definitely had, we're not big drinkers, but I mean, that night we had more than 3 drinks. It was a wedding. It was a celebration. And he ended up confronting a drone pilot at this wedding. And I mean, he still was civil and he was able to talk. I mean, this point, he was just, you know, like his whole behavior changed. It was like he was a different person. And I couldn't hardly speak. My tongue felt like it was numb. And I couldn't move. Like, I can't explain. It's almost like being anesthetized or something.
Like
it's
roofied?
It's like you're removed from your body.
Like you were roofied.
I mean,
out of curiosity, what do you have to gain by doing anything like that? Let's just say.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is what I'm saying.
What do you have to gain?
Like, if I just had too much to drink and nothing happened to me, I had too much to drink. That sucks for me. I should have been more careful around people or whatever.
Right.
And then I feel bad that I had too much to drink in front of people and acted. I mean, usually if I have too much to drink, which has happened occasionally in my life, I get like goofy and I tell bad jokes and I giggle too much and I maybe talk a little too loud. That's about it, though. I mean, I'm the kind of person that doesn't even usually ever get sick or, you know.
Well,
so this is
for like you know, you poisoning yourself to somehow fake get like recorded conversations.
That's a good one.
Well, it's just, I mean, if you're thinking, if somebody thinks that you would have, you know, recorded secret conversations or something, and leaked them,
new thing now.
But if you're guilty of that, then you also have to be a party to spiking people's drinks and stuff.
So.
And that means that you spiked your own drinks, which makes no sense whatsoever. And tried to break into your own house. I mean, this is to a level where you're literally, I mean, they're lucky.
Myself.
They're lucky. I mean, they're lucky it's you, because if somebody did this to me, it would turn out much differently. Okay.
Well, if it's just me attacking myself, then I guess I'll be finishing myself off this week, because it's kind of like, I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Well, it's just stupid. Look, you know what I see? That kind of paranoia is what whoever is behind this is trying to foment. Okay,
right.
They're trying to get everybody arguing and suspecting each other. And, oh my God, you did this. And you did. You know, I think everybody's being targeted. This kid Gucciardi, obviously, if he had the same similar situation happen to him, and then if it only happened to him, and then didn't happen to anybody since, somebody could say, oh well, he had too much to drink. But now you have 3 people that had a similar situation happen to them. Obviously, that's a pattern. So now we have to look at, who would benefit? Who would benefit to go after both you guys and this Gucciardi kid? Now, he works for your old job, right? So maybe that's why he was targeted, because he's connected to them. Maybe you were targeted because you used to work there. Maybe it's an operation to bring InfoWars down.
It could very well be a way to infiltrate. You don't know.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the thing is that, I mean, we quit. And we walked away. We started our own thing. If we really had any ill will or wanted to do, I mean, obviously we could have. It's been a year now. It's been a year. And all we've done this whole year is work on our stuff.
Food.
And we talk about food. We worked on our website. We've tried to build it up from, it was nothing before. It was a little blog that I had, which, no one even knew about. And we tried to build up our website and do our own thing. And that's all we've been trying to do. I think our biggest mistake has been staying in Austin, Texas. around the drama, because there's some drama here, and whatever it is, it's like a quicksand pit is being sucked down in the middle, and we're on the edges of it getting sucked back in. And I don't want anything to do with any of that. It's like the mob. It's like you leave, but they just keep trying to. No, I don't care. I just don't want anything to do with it. I want to have my own life.
You guys need to pack up and just get out of there.
And that's what's happening. We're leaving,
and just leave. Take yourself out of the equation. And just, you're not in the drama. You don't want to be involved in it.
This is the deal with this, is that, and I'm speaking for myself now, not Aaron. I've never been that upset before. I've never been that sick before. I've never been that afraid before. And I've been through some serious crap in my life. I'm not the girl that, had the 2.5, brother and sister and the dog and cat and the big nice house in the suburbs. That's not me. I had a hard life. I've been through a lot of crap. This was the scariest thing that's happened to me in a long time. And obviously I trusted people too much. That's first of all. Secondly, because I trusted people too much, I wasn't watching my drink, and Aaron wasn't watching. It's not like we were keeping an eye on our drinks. We just weren't. And we just were a little bit too trusting and maybe too naive too, because whatever this thing is that's going on right now, because there's a lot of drama and I've heard a lot of scary stories right now, which I'm not going to repeat. But I'm just saying there is something going on. It is bigger than us. And I want nothing to do with it, because at the end of the day, it's taking away from the main point of why all of us do what we do all the time.
Exactly. It's such a distraction.
Well, and I also see what I see from an outsider. I see, like, you taking you guys out of the equation. I see InfoWars being attacked. If I'm going to look at this and take all this information in, I would say, well, this kind of looks like some sort of operation, whether it's, and it doesn't have to be government funded.
Right.
It could be somebody that just figured out a way in or whatever. It just looks like they're the target. And regardless of what people think about that whole thing over there, or whether you like them or not, they're effective. Okay.
InfoWars is a damn good website to get the news and get the word out.
It's effective to a large extent, and just because whether or not you agree with them or not, that's not the point.
Right.
From my outside opinion, I think that this is. It looks like there's something like that.
There's something nefarious going on, dude. No doubt.
And I'm not blaming any one individual because I don't know. Honestly,
I know that there are people that have been fired who have grudges. I do know about that. There are people that we heard talking about having made recordings of people in front of everyone, not just us. So it wasn't like we're the only ones that heard that information. This person did not play any of those for us. They wanted to, but we didn't do it because we are trying. We just don't care. Like, we just want
to be left alone.
I mean, I just want to be left alone and do my own thing, and I just don't care. I don't care. It's just so pointless. It's just such a waste of time. And to now be accused of things we didn't do on top of everything. It's like, wow, it's been a freaking year. It's been a year. How much more things how many more things, how many more actions, how many more things do I have to do to show I don't care? Do I need to go get a billboard out on I-35 here in Austin, Texas with a picture of my face smiling with a thumbs up that says I don't care? Because I really don't. And Aaron doesn't either. And it's pretty obvious that we don't care. And I guess somebody's real butthurt about the fact that we don't care or whatever, because this just keeps happening. And it's like, seriously, leave us alone. We don't care. I don't know. Maybe I'll just get that tattooed on my forehead or something, because I just don't care.
The best thing you can do is just like I said to you, get yourself out of the equation by leaving the area. And then I would just stay clear of the people that you obviously don't think you can trust anymore. I would narrow down who you think you can trust.
Which is basically everybody. Well, not you guys, but yeah, basically everybody.
I know what you mean.
I have kids. This is the thing. I have kids.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm saying. They broke into your house.
Come after me, but this is now threatening my children. Okay, there's a level here that needs to not be crossed. It's not that I'm like, oh, I'm a victim now, and I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off. Okay, because I believe that especially there's things. Sometimes you get treated like crap in certain situations and stuff. and you just turn the other cheek and you go on with your life. And that is what I have been trying to do. I think that's what we've both been trying to do. And I think we've taken the high road on this, and we're going to continue to take the high road on this. And whoever's trying to drag us back down into the mud, they can stay there and play in the mud and wallow in it all day long. I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. Leave me the hell alone. Leave Aaron alone. And I'm so beyond just
you guys never look like mud wrestlers to me anyway. Just saying.
We're like nerdy researchers.
This is why
nerdy researchers. That's it.
This is why I wanted you guys on, because it gets on the record. You guys are openly talking. I've known about this for like 2 weeks. Okay, but I'm your friend. I don't have to go on air and talk about it if you ask me not to. I know how to keep it.
Somebody drugged us. There are witnesses. Including there's videotape,
bam.
And on top of that, someone tried to break into our house. There is a police report. There are pictures of my door. I have shared these with everyone, and now we're being accused of secretly tape. It's like, no, okay, no. We're nerdy people that sit around and research things and try to expose things that are correct.
That's where I think you guys
all this other crap.
That's where I see like whoever's really doing this is trying
like a soap opera.
Exactly. Whoever's really doing this is trying to create tension between people, point fingers. Whoever is doing it. It's not really the greatest job at all, because it's kind of amateur hour.
Sloppy.
Yeah, really sloppy. But so if you hear this broadcast, like really sloppy, like you need to clean your crap up, like real bad. Okay. The break.
How about just stop?
Well, the harassing and the breaking in thing. I mean, that was more so.
Obviously, whoever it was didn't think I was going to switch drinks with Aaron.
Well,
you messed up.
There's a lot of variables that they didn't account for, but you know what? All that aside, because we only got a few minutes left, the whole point is the way you guys are handling this is very exemplary, because you're not coming out and attacking anybody.
Nope.
And in fact, you're pointing out that perhaps you and this Gucciardi kid could have your drink spiked, poisoned, whatever you want to call it, by the same nefarious individual. And that, from what I understand, that same individual that it could be also might be in possession of he's bragged about being in possession of recordings of people. So maybe they should look inside their own house.
I don't know just exactly who's doing what, but it seems to be very close to the spheres of influence of my old working place. And
yep,
it's something's going on there. Is it infiltration? It might make a lot of sense. And if I could reveal the whole story to you, I would, but I don't know the whole story. All I know is that we've suffered episodes of harassment more times in the years since we've left there than at any point
than ever in my life.
There for 7 years.
I have to say, being your guys' friend, I have rarely witnessed people that have gone through more troublesome years than you. I mean, you guys have gone through probably one of the most troublesome years that I've ever witnessed. I mean, I've been through some crap, but I'm not talking about like cake. No, just in general.
Being from a poor, developing country and like living a life of poverty.
No. I'm saying in
we've been targeted.
We've been targeted repeatedly.
This would make like a Lifetime movie. Okay.
I mean, and this is what happened too. And even last year when stuff started going down in the fall, because it wasn't too bad until after the fall happened, and then when that came, it was like somebody broke into my car and turned everything on in my car and left all the doors unlocked and killed the battery. And I went out there and found my car with everything switched on at all, plus the windshield wiper. I mean, every door was unlocked. Nobody pulls into their parking lot and goes, I'm going to turn every electrical gadget on in my car possible.
That's the kind of stuff they do
all the doors open.
That's the kind of stuff they do during gang stalking, by the way.
Then Aaron's dad suddenly died. And he was 56.
Still nobody really knows.
Nobody knows why.
They did an autopsy.
He had a heart. They checked his heart. They said he was fine. And then suddenly he's got a heart attack. He's dead. Okay. Then we come back from that. Someone has broken into my daughter's bathroom and dumped cat litter all over the floor and then flooded it just in the bathroom. Not anywhere else in the house. And then some things were moved around slightly. That was it. So it's kind of like a message. It's not, but there's been so many other things too. And I would get into all of it, but it's almost like giving play to this stuff makes it more. And it's like, I just don't.
Exactly.
I got things to do. But now I'm being accused of secretly recording people and all that. Yeah. Okay. If I gave a crap about that, maybe I would be all into that devious nonsense. But
You don't
things
think
to
like
do.
these people.
I
You
just don't.
think like
I don't think like these people. Is why I don't understand why they're doing this to us. And I also just don't care enough to secretly record people and live a life of. It's like, okay, if any of that stuff mattered, but it's not. I mean, what are
it would take it would take far too much energy and effort, and I know you guys are busy doing other things.
Frustrating.
We are,
right now.
guys. I hate to cut you off, but we are out of time. But
Yeah.
I'm glad you had the courage to come on air and talk about all the shady things that have been going on.
Yeah.
And I know myself and Joe and the listeners out there, we love you guys and we stand by you. And
Absolutely.
we got
we
your
love
back.
you guys too. We
Just
love
get
all of
out
us.
of there and just take
We
yourself
are
out of the
getting the hell out of
equation.
here.
And any updates, let me know. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time. I love you all. I'll catch you all again live tomorrow night. As I always say, those solutions to our problems are an inside job. We are out of here.